guys, it's Beauty Queen. I've been trying to figure out some lighting situation because I'm charging my phone, it's flat, and we only have one extension cord and I can't plug in my ring light, so I can't go up to where I would normally sit. So I have the problem of I have to sit here. But there's windows everywhere. So I'm kind of struggling to find good lighting, so I'm sorry about the lighting in this video. But because it's bad lighting, we're going to read Triple Moon. I don't remember what we're up to. Let's have a look. Chapter 7. Let's get started. Alright, let's do this because now there's two windows beside me but none actually behind me. So hopefully this works a bit better. Just let me respond to these quickly. And then we'll get started. Right, chapter 7. Remove the very nice outer cover like we always do. Oh, that was what I was trying not to happen. Okay. I didn't rip this, but I did just break the spine of the book. So chapter 7. Everybody eats when they come to my house. As a widely impressed valet whisked the Friary off to a large clearing in the dunes that served as a parking lot for the Fairhaven party, Marty looked up at the torch-lit path towards the spectacular old mansion. Night had fallen and the lush grounds were mostly in shadow so that the trees and bushes appeared as dark figures, like spirits hovering into the glooming... Wait, what? I found a mistake in the book because she puts a full stop there. Marty got a strong vibe from this place, not spooky exactly, but charged. Gardener's Island was definitely a place that spanned two worlds. As she and Freya started up the path, all eyes on their stunning figures, Marty was startled to see Molly, Matt, and Ingrid heading towards her with hanging heads. Hey guys, they looked up startled. Freya! Marty, what are you doing here? Ingrid was trying to look pleased by the surprise, but was obviously confused. Who's watching the kids? Matt's expression of alarm perfectly mimicked his wife's. It was as if they spoke as one. Marty thought with a twitch of sadness that she quickly squealed. Ingrid had made her own bed by marrying a mortal man. Why did Marty keep feeling sorry for her? I called Gracia, Freya explained. I stopped by to see if we could head to the party together and found poor Marty stuck at home. It didn't seem fair. I guess you're right, said Ingrid. We should have left both of them home. Whoa, Manny thought. Nothing that her sister had a busted look all over her face. What did she do? Marty was dying to know. Pleasure and party tricks was something the sisters always shared. Or actually shared. They obviously aren't ready to handle adult situations yet, Ingrid fumed. Light enough, Ingrid said Freya. If you and Matt are tired and want to head out, I can chaperone both of them. No, we'll take Molly, Ingrid said decidedly. Then she remembered her manners. Oh, Molly, this is my sister Freya. Cool skirt, said Freya, holding out her hand. She had finished her skinny jean metallic booster outfit with 6-inch python heels and a python belt. She looked even more stunning than she had back on the beach. Thanks, cool shoes, said Molly, clasping Freya's fingers as they could somehow hold her back and save her from the ride of shame home in the family Subaru. Time to go, Molly said Ingrid. You girls can continue your love fest some other time. I'm sure Freya's closet is big enough for all of you. Molly cast Freya a thanks for trying look as she sulked off behind her captors. Manny couldn't help but feel a little teared Griffith at her sister's misfortune. There was some relief at having this beautiful summer evening all to herself with her twin gone. Marty didn't have to compete all night. Now she could relax into her own skin and really check this crazy place out. Don't mind Molly, she said to Freya. She's spoiled selfish. You really think you're different from her? Freya asked. Totally, Marty shot back. She was caught completely off guard by the question. Freya frowned thoughtfully. Ingrid and I might be very different, but we're the best of friends. One day you'll be glad you have a sister who has your back. She grabbed them each a glass of champagne from a passing tray. Biting her tongue, Marty accepted the champagne gladly. While she was normally utterly concerned with what others thought of her, she found that she really wanted Freya to like her. Freya was so cosmetically cool. They clicked glasses in the moonlight as the band Summer Inside Fairhaven struck up a waltz. The music swayed out through the enormous open windows of what looked like a chandeliered ballroom. Notes poured over the vast front lawn, enticing the crowd to come inside and dance. Freya and Marty were carried on the tide towards the house. As they walked up the path, they reached out to one another and clicked glasses again. Champagne really isn't my thing, said Mandy. It's more Molly style, as you can probably figure, but this stuff isn't so bad. Don't worry, Freya stage whispered. I know where they stuff the tequila around here. Awesome, said Mandy. You're a bartender, right? That's right, I'm the queen of the North End. My drinks are known as love potions. I've created a menu of drinks, infatuations, irresistible, unrequited forever. Her mouth shaped the cocktail names as they were juicy pieces of fruit bursting on her tongue. Minnie was equally attracted to and equally wary of both sexes. Her dad, who was rapidly heterosexual, couldn't understand how she could flow so freely in her appetites. Couldn't she go definitely one way or the other? Minnie looked down at her boots and snarled out, thinking about how binary he was, how limited. Freya was probably the sexiest girl she'd ever met, but she was also sort of like an aunt or an older sister, so that was weird. Love potions, she asked. Meaning the trick to being a quote-unquote good witch here on Middle Earth is to twist your sense of mischief to spreading the love. I'm not so sure that spreading love is in my nature. Roger's more like it. You'll see. Freya winked a feline eye and turned to say hello to a conservatively dressed middle-aged couple. Then he took a step forward towards the front door. There was an odour of roasting meat wafting from the house. Her nostrils flared. She realised she was starving. But as she took a step towards Fairhaven's luxurious entry with its promise of dinner, she was immediately stopped by a slinking male voice. You must be Marty Overbrook. Someone was blocking her way. She couldn't stand it when people, men in particular, messed with her freedom of movement. It made her blood boil. Yes, she said, pushing around him. That's me. What's the hurry? She looked up annoyed. He was about 17 in ripped jeans, a t-shirt, and a beat-up leather jacket. His eyes and skin were dark like hers, but his eyes were as brilliant blue as hers were deepest brown. She could see his lean form through his thin t-shirt, his arm muscles ripped in the moonlight. He must be a swimmer like her. She was taken, but to his face she said, with all the coldness she could muster, if you must know, I'm headed to the buffet. Do you want me to show you the fastest way? In spite of herself, she cracked a smile. I'm sure I can find it. I know how to take care of myself. That, he said, is perfectly obvious. Just think of me as a means to an end, your support staff. I know where the kitchen is, and I have friends here on the inside. Do you work here or something? I live here, or I could live here if I felt like it. It's my house. I mean, my brothers are the ones who brought it back to life for the family, and my stepmother is really into it now. She gives garden tours and stuff. So how come you don't live here if it's your family's house? I like my brother's boat better. It's a fishing yacht called the Dragon. I spend most of my nights there, on the water. I'm Trent Gardner, by the way. Hi, Trent, he said. Hi, Mandy. How do you know who I am? Freya told me about you and Molly coming to town for the summer. You're tight with Freya? She's close to my older brothers, Keelan and Brian. Close to both of them, if you know what I mean. She's got a lot of love to go around. So I gather. As they talked, he guided her into the house with a hand on the small of her back. Normally that would have driven her crazy with the urge to hex him, to web his hands into duck feet or make his gum bleed profusely, but somehow she didn't mind. There was nothing conceding or controlling in his touch. It was firm, gentle, protective. The buffet in the crystalline ballroom with its huge windows open into fragrant gardens with lush and bonnetful. Jaded as she was from Manhattan excess, Mandy still couldn't help but be impressed. She wasn't so much struck by the cost of the food. She knew well from her private school world that there was no limit to what people could spend, as she was touched by the loving attention to detail. There was a suckling pig turning on a spit over an open flame, a perfectly rare prime rib, and a glimmering lace duck breast. There were duck fat potatoes, truffle risotto, green beans tossed in almond pesto, a salad of local tomatoes, grilled peaches and feta, sprinkled with basil from the Fairhaven's garden, and another salad of shaved fennel and fresh fava beans. Even though she knew it had been excessively catered, many could tell that someone had given this meal a lot of thought. Is your stepmother a foodie? She asked over the music as she filled a plate. Trent laughed. My stepmother lives on saltines, gin and fresa. I'm a foodie. This is my menu. He gestures to the spread. What do you think? I'll let you know when I've tasted it. Make sure you get some of the risotto. I stirred it myself. You cook? She nearly spat out the champagne she was swallowing. Why so surprised? His eyes twinkled mischievously. She thought about it. I shouldn't be. Everyone watches the Food Channel these days. Ah, so now I'm just like everyone? No, you're not. Actually, I know a lot of people who watch cooking shows. I don't know anyone who really cooks. Follow me, he commanded softly. Instead of bristling, she happily trailed him, sensing that he was taking her somewhere she would have chosen to go on her own. Balancing their laden plates, she and Trent toured through a labyrinth of passageways and down a pine staircase into a vast basement kitchen with large French doors framing a sunken herb garden. There were so many copper pots hanging from the ceiling that Marty had the urge to take the soft mallet and play them like gongs. The star smiled at Brent fondly. No one skipped a beat when he opened a double-wide Sub-Zero, another part of the renovation, he explained, and pulled out a stash of Foie-Gras Turin. He said he had made it himself. And you have some of this cherry Comté with the Foie-Gras. I did it with cherries from our orchard. Was this gorgeous boy really talking to her about compote? About how he didn't use a cherry pitter because he preferred the sensations of pitting the cherries with his fingers? Why are you looking at me funny? He finally asked. I've never met a domestic person before, she almost added, especially one who looks like you. But she figured he could read this aside in her eyes if he was paying attention. Northampton will do that to you, he replied. I wasn't into the stuff when I got home here either. I always liked good food, but I thought you brought it. I guess here's some kind of connection to nature here, or to the past. It's kind of wormhole that way. You know, Freya's an amazing cook. Really? I was hard to picture Freya in an apron. I can't see Freya over a hot stove, but her sister Ingrid makes great strawberry rhubarb pie. Too bad she's so uptight. Trent walked mentally through the herb garden around the side of the mansion to a restored 18th century greenhouse. He unlatched the door and led her inside, where he gave her a quick tour of the twisting palm trees. A grave oryx in African violets, Swiss cheese plants with bright lacy fronds. There was a reflecting pool where pink and white water lilies floated in harmony. Instead of the larger plants where the herbs Freya used for her potions at the North Inn, Damana, Burdrick, feverfew, valerian, catnip, and angela root, to name a few. Trent told Mandy that his brother Keelan had planted them for Freya 10 years ago. This place was a ruin. Keelan brought it back to life for her. Right. They sat on a bench and Mandy attacked a plate. He watched her and smiled, amused. You don't eat like a girl, do you? I'm sorry, that was sexist. Sort of, she said, but I agree. I hate the way most girls eat, like my sister, for example. It's either tiny bites of caviar and sips of champagne or non-fat frozen yogurt and Diet Coke. The only time she actually eats is when she sees I have something I really like and she insists on taking her half just so I don't get it all. Sounds like you guys have a really healthy relationship, he grinned. Do you want your half of my foie gras? Without waiting for her to say yes, he popped a piece of the roasted toast covered over with foie gras and drizzled cherry compote into her mouth. From someone else, it could have been a forceful, annoying gesture, but it was exactly what she wanted from Trent. Wow, thanks for sharing. And by the way, you said Freya had told you about Molly and me coming to Northampton, but how did you know which sister I was when you saw me? Trent searched her face with his sea-deep eyes. Freya had the lowdown on you from your dad. She said you were the cool one. Without giving her time to respond, he leapt to his feet and pulled a metal box out from among the stalks of some long green plant whose leaves were clamped shut with smirking mouths. He opened the box, pulled out a pair of long metal tweezers, attracted a whistling worm, and held it up to one of the polished leaves. The tight green lips suddenly parted open. Trent dropped the worm to the heart of it, and the leaves snapped shut on its prey. Venice flytrap, he said. We're not the only carnivores around here, I promised Keenan I would feed them while he's gone. Can I have one of those to take home? Mandy asked breathlessly, fantasized about how much fun it would be to feed Molly to it piece by piece. First her fingers, then her toes, then her wicked tongue, all the way down to her black, black heart. Sorry to interrupt, guys, but I'm low on catnip for the bar, Freya said, appearing in the moonlight carrying a small wicker basket and pair of gardening scissors. As Freya kneeled to clip, Mandy saw that she was not only a glamorous goddess, but a nurturing one. If Mandy hadn't happened to like Freya so much, she would have hated her for being so perfect. As long as I'm here, I'm going to grab a little Angela root. Go nuts, said Trent. It's your greenhouse. Once Freya had gathered her ingredients, she told Mandy they should probably take off. We don't want Ingrid on our case, she said. Trent walked them to their car and gave them each a goodnight kiss on the cheek. His faint stubble set Mandy's skin aglow. He squeezed her hand, pressing her ring softly into his palm. See you around, he asked. It's a small town, he replied with a smile. As Mandy shifted the old friary from first gear into second, heading away from Fairhaven towards the bridge to the mainland, she checked her rearview mirror to see Trent's stone dark figure saluted against the starlight sky. He was smouldering, yes, with those soul-melting eyes and that hard body. But he was also sweet. Something about him felt like home, a home she had never had. Right, that's the end of that chapter. If anyone's wondering why I keep stopping and starting, like, throughout the book, it's because after a while of speaking out loud, like, I get really, like, sore throat, so I have to take a second just to, give myself a break. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Do not forget I do have Patreon, so if you want to support me, the link is in the description below. I now have 3 blogs. I don't know what else to say. By now you guys should know that I'm only updating Tuesdays and Fridays, so there's that to remember. And yeah, I hope everyone is having an amazing April. I know with the coronavirus stuff that's been going on, it's pretty packed and a lot of places are on lockdown and everything. So I just hope everyone is staying safe and healthy and is keeping themselves busy, and I'll see you guys next video. So bye guys, love you.